Locked away down under, prison life in Australia. Most people think prison life looks the same everywhere. Concrete walls, steel bars, loud doors, long days. But far away from the places Americans, Britons, and Canadians usually hear about, there is another system, another rhythm, another kind of survival. In Australia, prisons sit under wide skies in dry heat or cold southern winds. Some are modern, some are old, and inside them are ordinary people who made mistakes that changed their lives forever. This is not a story about danger or fear. This is a story about routine, patience, and quiet change. This is about being locked away down under, and learning how life continues even when freedom is gone. Arrival behind the fence. The first thing many inmates notice when they arrive at an Australian prison is the silence. Not complete silence, but a different kind of quiet. There is no shouting when the bus stops. No chaos. Just the sound of boots on gravel, a gate sliding open, and a voice calmly giving instructions. For most new prisoners, this moment feels unreal. The drive-in is often long. Past dry fields, eucalyptus trees, and long empty roads. Australia is huge and prisons are often far from cities. This distance makes the loss of freedom feel even heavier. Inside the reception area, everything moves slowly but firmly. Names are checked. Belongings are taken and stored. Clothes are exchanged for prison-issued uniforms, plain, practical, and clean. No one is rushed, but nothing is optional. For many inmates, this is the first time in their life that every minute is controlled. When to stand, when to sit, when to eat, when to sleep. The shock does not come from harsh treatment. It comes from the structure. Australian prisons are known for rules that are strict but predictable. Officers speak clearly. Instructions are simple. Follow them and the day moves smoothly. For someone used to chaos on the outside, this order feels strange. For others, it feels calming even if they are afraid to admit it. After processing, inmates are shown to their unit. Some units are shared rooms. Others are single cells depending on the prison and security level. The rooms are small but functional. A bed, a desk, a sink, a toilet. No decorations. No personal photos yet. Just a space that will soon become home. The door closes with a solid sound, not loud, not violent, just final. This is when reality settles in. In Australian prisons, days begin early. Very early. Lights come on around sunrise. Inmates are expected to be awake, beds made, ready for counts. This routine never changes. Weekdays, weekends, holidays. Breakfast is simple. Cereal, toast, tea or coffee. No choices. No menus. Just fuel to start the day. Many inmates say this is where their thinking starts to change. Not in dramatic ways, but quietly. With no phone, no internet, and no constant noise, thoughts become louder. Regret shows up in the quiet moments. So does reflection. After breakfast, inmates move to their daily assignments. Work is a major part of prison life in Australia. Some work in kitchens. Some clean units. Some do laundry. Others work in workshops, gardens, or maintenance crews. The pay is small. Very small. But work gives structure. It gives purpose to the hours. It gives inmates a reason to get up and move forward, even if the future feels far away. Australian prisons focus heavily on routine because routine reduces tension. When people know what to expect, emotions stay more controlled. For many inmates, this becomes the first lesson. Life does not improve all at once. It improves minute by minute. During work hours, officers keep watch, but not aggressively. They observe. They step in only when needed. Respect is expected on both sides. Inmates who follow rules often earn small privileges. Extra recreation time. Access to education programs. More frequent phone calls. These things may sound small to people on the outside, but inside they matter. Education is a big part of the Australian system. Inmates can attend literacy classes, trade training, and basic schooling. Some learn to read better. Some earn certificates in skills like carpentry, cooking, or mechanics. The idea is simple. One day most of these people will go home. And when they do, the system hopes they will leave with something more than a record. Lunch comes at the same time every day. Simple meals. Balanced. Nothing fancy. Afternoons are quieter. Some inmates return to work. Others attend programs focused on behavior, decision-making, or addiction recovery. These sessions are not forced through fear. They are guided conversations. Slow. Repetitive. Sometimes uncomfortable. Inmates are encouraged to talk about choices, not excuses. Not everyone takes it seriously at first. Some attend just to pass time. But over weeks and months, something shifts. Being away from old habits, old friends, and old pressures creates space. Space to think. Space to question past decisions. Evenings are calm. Dinner. Free time in common areas. Some watch television. Some read. Some exercise. Phones are limited and monitored. Calls are short and expensive. For inmates with families, these calls carry weight. Children's voices sound different through prison phones. Parents feel the distance more deeply. As night falls, units quiet down. Doors are locked for the night. Lights dim. This is when many inmates say prison feels the longest. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to distant footsteps and doors. Thinking about time. Thinking about what was lost. Thinking about what might still be possible. In Australian prisons, violence is not the focus of daily life. Conflict exists, but it is controlled through structure, supervision, and routine. The real challenge is internal. Facing boredom. Facing regret. Facing responsibility. For some inmates, this environment breaks them down. For others, it becomes the place where they finally slow down enough to change direction. Chapter 1 ends not with hope or despair, but with adjustment. Because before growth can happen, life must first become still. And behind fences under the Australian sky, stillness is where the journey truly begins. Learning the rhythm of time. After the first few weeks, time begins to feel different. Not faster. Not slower. Just heavier. In Australian prisons, days are measured less by dates and more by routines. Monday feels like Tuesday. Tuesday feels like Thursday. Weeks blend together until inmates stop counting days and start counting habits. This is when the real adjustment begins. New inmates quickly learn that prison life is not about strength or attitude. It is about consistency. Wake up on time. Show up where you are told. Do your job properly. Speak when necessary. Listen more than you talk. Those who fight the system emotionally often struggle the most. Not because the system punishes them harder, but because resistance drains energy. In prison, energy is valuable. Many inmates begin to notice how much mental energy they used to waste on the outside. Arguments. Distractions. Chasing things that never lasted. Inside, life is stripped down to basics. Food. Work. Sleep. Repeat. At first, this feels empty. Then it begins to feel grounding. Australian prisons place strong emphasis on personal responsibility. Officers often explain rules clearly and expect adults to act like adults. Mistakes are corrected calmly. Repeated mistakes bring consequences but rarely chaos. This approach surprises many inmates from other systems around the world. There is no constant yelling. No need to prove authority every minute. Respect is practical, not emotional. As inmates settle into the rhythm, relationships slowly form. Not friendships in the traditional sense. More like shared understanding. People learn who works quietly, who keeps to themselves, who is respectful, who avoids trouble. Trust is built slowly and carefully. Conversations stay simple. Whether work, family. Most inmates avoid talking about their crimes. Not out of fear, but because labels carry weight. In Australian prisons, many people are serving time for non-violent offenses. Financial mistakes. Drug-related decisions. Poor judgment that snowballed over time. These inmates often struggle with shame more than anger. Education programs become a turning point for many. Not because they are exciting, but because they offer progress. Learning something new makes time feel useful. Some inmates sit in classrooms for the first time in decades. Holding pencils. Reading out loud. Asking questions. At first, embarrassment hangs in the air. But slowly, confidence grows. A man who could not read a full page now finishes his first book. Someone who never finished school earns a basic certificate. These are quiet victories. No applause. No celebrations. Just personal milestones that change how inmates see themselves. Work assignments also evolve over time. Inmates who show reliability are trusted with better tasks. Kitchen prep. Tool handling. Inventory checks. Trust inside prison is earned, not given. With trust comes responsibility, and responsibility brings dignity. Exercise becomes another outlet. Gyms are simple. Weights. Open yards. Walking paths. Some inmates walk laps every day, rain or shine. Not to get strong, but to clear their minds. Physical movement becomes a way to process thoughts that have nowhere else to go. Family contact remains limited but powerful. Letters arrive slowly. Handwritten words carry more meaning than messages ever did. Some letters bring encouragement. Some bring disappointment. Some bring silence. Not everyone waits on the outside. This reality forces inmates to confront uncomfortable truths. who stood by them, who moved on, who they hurt. Programs focused on behavior and decision-making go deeper now. Participants are asked to look at patterns, not excuses. Why certain choices kept repeating. Why consequences never seemed real until now. These sessions are quiet, often emotional but controlled. No one is forced to share. But those who do often feel lighter afterward. Australian prisons aim to reduce reoffending by addressing thinking, not just actions. Change is slow, sometimes invisible. But over months something shifts. Inmates begin planning small goals. Saving tiny amounts of money. Completing courses. Improving fitness. Not dreams of success, just steps toward stability. Evenings feel different now. Less restless. Less heavy. The silence that once felt uncomfortable now feels familiar. Some inmates begin to enjoy reading. Others write letters they never send. Some simply sit and think. This is not transformation. It is preparation. Preparation for a future that is still uncertain. As weeks turn into months, inmates realize something important. Prison did not pause life. It reshaped it. And while freedom is gone, time is still moving forward, whether they are ready or not. Chapter 2 ends here, not with answers but with awareness. Because before anyone can rebuild a life, they must first understand the one they were living. And inside Australia's prison walls, that understanding is slowly taking shape. Work, worth, and small responsibility. After months inside, prison stops feeling like a shock. It starts to feel like a system. Not a kind one. Not a cruel one. Just a system that keeps moving whether anyone likes it or not. This is when work begins to matter more. In Australian prisons, work is not only about keeping facilities running. It is about teaching structure through repetition. Inmates wake up knowing where they need to be. What time to be there. What is expected of them. At first, many see work as pointless. The pay is low. The tasks feel basic. The hours feel long. But slowly something changes. Work becomes a way to measure the day. A way to avoid sitting still with too many thoughts. A way to feel useful in a place designed to take away control. In the kitchens, inmates learn timing. Food must be ready on schedule. Cleanliness is strict. Mistakes affect hundreds of people. In workshops, attention matters. Following instructions matters. Safety matters. For people who once lived without rules, this structure is uncomfortable. But for others, it becomes grounding. Some inmates realize they have never held a steady routine before prison. They never woke up at the same time. Never showed up daily. Never finished tasks without walking away. Inside, walking away is not an option. Officers notice effort more than talent. Those who arrive on time and do their job quietly are remembered. Over time, these inmates are trusted with more responsibility. It might be something small. Checking supplies. Helping new workers learn tasks. Opening and closing storage rooms. These moments matter more than they seem. For someone whose past is filled with bad decisions, being trusted again changes how they see themselves. Not as a criminal. Not as a number. But as someone capable of reliability. Money earned through prison work is small, but it is meaningful. Inmates use it to buy basic items. Soap, snacks, writing materials. Managing this small income teaches patience. Saving becomes necessary. Spending becomes thoughtful. This is often the first time inmates truly understand budgeting, not in theory but in survival. Education continues alongside work. Some inmates attend classes after their shifts. Tired but focused. Learning is slower now but deeper. A man who once skipped school now stays after class to ask questions. Not because he loves school, but because he wants options. Programs focused on employment skills teach simple things. How to write a basic resume. How to speak respectfully in interviews. How to show up consistently. These lessons sound obvious to people on the outside. But for many inmates they are new. Australian prisons treat employment as a key part of reintegration. Not as a guarantee but as a chance. Mental health support is also part of daily life. Counselors are available. Sessions are private and calm. There is no pressure to open up. But those who do often talk about stress they never addressed before. Anxiety, guilt, fear of failing again. These emotions are not dramatic. They sit quietly under the surface. Prison removes distractions, leaving feelings exposed. Some inmates struggle during this stage. Not because prison is harder, but because it is quieter. There is no escaping yourself. Relationships inside continue to stay respectful but distant. People learn boundaries quickly. Borrowing is avoided. Promises are kept minimal. Trust remains careful. In Australian prisons, conflict is discouraged through structure. Officers intervene early. Rules are enforced consistently. Most inmates learn that calm behavior leads to a calmer environment. Even recreation time follows routines. Yard time, gym schedules, television access. There are rules for everything. And within those rules, inmates find freedom and predictability. Family visits are rare but meaningful. Visits happen in controlled spaces. Conversations are monitored. Children sit across tables from parents they barely recognize anymore. These moments are quiet and heavy. Some inmates leave visits feeling hopeful. Others feel broken. But everyone feels reminded of what is waiting, or not waiting, outside. Letters continue to arrive. Some stop coming. This teaches another lesson prison does not announce out loud. Life moves on. The outside world does not pause. Bills are paid without you. People age without you. Events happen without you. This realization hurts more than punishment ever could. Yet this pain also brings clarity. Inmates begin asking different questions. Not, how fast can I get out? But, what kind of life am I returning to? Work assignments feel heavier now. Not physically, mentally. Because inmates understand that this routine is preparing them for something bigger. Or exposing how unprepared they are. As months stretch on, pride begins to grow quietly. Not loud pride. Not ego. But a steady sense of worth. I showed up today. I finished my task. I followed rules. I didn't quit. These thoughts replace old patterns of blame. Prison does not change people overnight. But it removes excuses. And inside Australian prisons, responsibility becomes unavoidable. Chapter 3 ends here, in the middle of effort. Not at success. Not at failure. Just in the daily choice to keep doing the work. Because change, like work, does not happen all at once. It happens one ordinary day at a time. Distance, reflection, and the weight of home. As time passes, something else becomes clearer. Prison is not just about the place. It is about distance. Distance from streets once walked every day. Distance from routines that felt normal. Distance from people who used to define identity. Australian prisons are often far from major cities. This separation is intentional. It limits distractions. It forces focus inward. For inmates, this distance feels strongest during quiet moments. Mail days carry mixed emotions. Some receive letters regularly. Others wait weeks with nothing. Envelopes become symbols. Of connection. Of absence. A single letter can lift an entire week. No letter can sink it. Phone calls are limited. Short. Monitored. Scheduled. Conversations are careful. People on the outside don't always know what to say. Inmates don't always know what to ask. Silences fill the gaps. Parents hear their children growing older through voices alone. Partners speak politely, sometimes emotionally distant. Friends slowly stop calling. Not out of cruelty. Out of life moving forward. This is when many inmates begin real reflection. Not the surface-level regret of being caught. But deeper questions. Why did I keep making the same choices? Why did warnings never feel real? Why did consequences only matter when freedom was gone? Australian prison programs lean into this stage. They don't rush it. They allow silence. Counseling sessions focus on patterns, not events. What led here? What kept repeating? Some inmates resist at first. Not because they don't understand, but because understanding hurts. It is easier to blame systems. Easier to blame others. Harder to admit personal responsibility. But prison removes distractions that once made avoidance easy. There is nowhere to run. Reflection shows up in unexpected ways. Inmates begin noticing small things. How they react to frustration. How they speak when tired. How quickly anger rises, or doesn't. Emotional control becomes survival skill, not virtue. Those who learn to pause do better. Those who react quickly struggle longer. Officers notice emotional regulation more than words. Calm inmates earn calmer treatment. Predictable behavior builds trust. Recreation time becomes quieter now. Less restless movement. More walking. More sitting. Some inmates write journals. Others read self-help books they once mocked. Not because someone told them to, but because answers feel necessary now. Australian prisons provide access to libraries. Simple spaces. Rows of worn books. Stories about life, mistakes, recovery. Stories that feel uncomfortably familiar. Education programs continue, but motivation shifts. It is no longer about passing time. It is about preparing for release, even if release feels far away. Inmates start asking practical questions. Where will I live? Who will hire me? What will I do when temptation returns? These questions carry fear but also honesty. For many, this is the first time they think long-term. Not dreams, plans. Small plans. Realistic ones. Finish this course. Save this amount. Avoid these people. Nothing dramatic. Just stability. Family visits become more emotional during this stage. Not louder, deeper. Some families reconnect. Apologies are shared quietly. Forgiveness begins slowly. Other families drift further away. Distance becomes permanent. Both outcomes teach lessons. Support cannot be demanded. It can only be appreciated. Australian prisons prepare inmates for this reality. Reintegration sessions explain what to expect. The outside world will not celebrate release. It will not pause to help adjust. Responsibility returns immediately. Bills, jobs, decisions. Freedom comes with pressure. This knowledge weighs heavily on inmates nearing eligibility for parole or release. Excitement mixes with fear. Some realize prison has become predictable, and predictability feels safe. The outside feels uncertain. This is a difficult truth few talk about openly. Prison removes choice but also removes chaos. Freedom returns both. As nights grow quieter, reflection deepens. Inmates think less about time served, and more about time ahead. Mistakes feel clearer now. Not exaggerated. Just honest. No excuses. No dramatics. Just understanding. Chapter 4 ends here, not with closure but with confrontation. Confrontation with the self. With reality. With the distance between who someone was, and who they may still become. Because before release can mean anything, identity must shift. And inside Australia's prisons, that shift begins quietly, one thought at a time. The walls have not moved. The fences are still there. The routines continue tomorrow just like they did yesterday. But something has changed. Inside these Australian prisons, under wide skies and quiet rules, life does not stop. It slows down. And in that slowing, people begin to see clearly. Not heroes. Not villains. Just ordinary men and women facing the results of ordinary choices that went wrong. Prison here is not about fear or force. It is about time. Time to work. Time to reflect. Time to learn how small decisions stack up into real consequences. Days are built from repetition. Wake up. Work. Learn. Wait. Think. And in that repetition, identity begins to shift. Responsibility replaces excuses. Routine replaces chaos. Silence replaces noise. Change does not arrive as a big moment. It arrives quietly, through showing up, through following rules, through choosing patience over reaction. For some, prison becomes a pause they never gave themselves on the outside. For others, it becomes a mirror they can no longer avoid. Distance from home hurts. Lost time cannot be recovered. Not every relationship survives. But within these limits, something real grows. Awareness. Awareness of what was lost. Awareness of what still matters. Awareness that freedom, when it returns, will demand more than hope. Locked away down under is not a story of punishment alone. It is a story of structure. Of accountability. Of people learning, slowly and imperfectly, how to live with intention. Because when the gates eventually open, the question will not be how much time was served. It will be whether the time changed anything at all. And that answer is being written every single day. Quietly, steadily, behind the fence. If this story opened your eyes, don't forget to like this video, drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel for more real stories.